I am Nick Shell, a certified Enneagram coach. I love this book. I've talked about it in so many videos. The Honest Enneagram by Sarah Jane Case. If you'd like to purchase this book, I make it so easy. There's a link right there. You can buy it off of Amazon. Also, if you'd like to become certified as an Enneagram coach, as I am, it opens doors. It's really helped me understand Enneagram and others and myself so much better. I've had 4 of my viewers so far actually do this because I've talked about it and said, hey, there's a link right there. That's pretty cool. Also, if you'd like to get an idea of what Enneagram type you might be, there's a free quiz. It takes about 10 minutes. So I want to directly talk about this book as it relates to me, an Enneagram 6, and whatever number you might be, experiencing guilt. That's what I'm going to talk about based on this book. This book kind of opened me up to this, to understand this is a blind spot I have. Now, by the way, we're a minute into this video. I'll just tell you, it's obvious to me, but if you're so far interested in this video, you haven't turned it off yet, a minute into it, you're like, I might want to watch more videos like this in the future. Do you know how to do that? Yeah, you could either subscribe, or if you simply like this video, then what happens is it tells the algorithm of YouTube, hey, show more people this video because this other person liked it. So that would help get this message out to others, and it'd help get that message back to you with future videos to show up in your feed. All right, with that being said, my favorite part about the Honest Enneagram, this book, is that it very specifically breaks down the 3 subtypes of all 9 Enneagrams, which is very helpful and very important because it's helped me understand, myself included, I wasn't the number I thought I was, because there's 3 different versions of every number. So there's not just 9 Enneagrams. There's what? You do the math, 9 times 3, 27. There's 27. But then also out of those, you could have either dominant wing. So, and then on top of that, if you add the Myers-Briggs, we're well over 100 different ones. So how basic do you want to go with this? But the problem is, if you don't understand the subtypes, there's a good chance you end up in this trap of thinking you're another number than you are, which definitely was the case for me, my wife, so many people in my family, if not most, compared to a year ago, we're all different numbers. It's not that we changed, it's just we have a better understanding. It's not that we were wrong, it's just that we have clearer vision on this. So looking at the subtypes of a 6, I know that my main subtype officially is the social, which is finding comfort and relying on authority, focused on understanding and fulfilling the role, in constant pursuit of understanding the rules and regulations and expectations, believes that everything will go wrong, so they focus on doing the right thing, can become a fanatic to their own belief system, legalistic, punctual, precise, responsible, can look like a type 1 or a 3. Okay. And originally I did think I was a 1. The very first time I heard of Enneagram, I thought I was a 1. So, okay, that all checks out. That makes sense. And then there's the sexual subtype. Well, this is next in line. When I'm not being social, I fall into this sexual one, or 1-to-1. Here's it. Turns against fear and leans into strength. When feeling fear, leans into it and runs toward it. Bold and fierce, often focused on being physically strong, takes on an intimidating stance, has a need to be the contrarian, and focuses on being the opposite of the group, often likes to disrupt and stir up trouble. I do it in a joking way, but I do it. Can look like a type 8. So I recently made a video talking about what are my go-to multiple personalities. Well, one of them is the 8-wing 7, as it relates to that, I'm sure. But then there's this self-preservation. And I think whatever number you are, if you have this book and you look at the other subtypes, you're like, yeah, but that one, that does not relate to me. Well, here's the one that, quote, doesn't relate to me. The self-preservation 6, the most phobic subtype. So instead of counterphobic, I'm like, I am afraid of everything. It was me as a boy, I will say. Relationship oriented, okay, that is true of me. Craves outside support. I do, and I'm constantly building that network, but I wasn't aware of it. It was a blind spot. Warm and friendly. Pretty much everyone would describe me that. If you knew me in real life, you can be high strung at times, but yeah, warm and friendly, yeah, that's right. Fears disappointing others. I understand that more about myself now that I've got deeper in Enneagram, that I definitely do. And when I realize I've disappointed someone, if I feel like I can't get back in grace with them, then I actually just shut them off, not as punishment against them, but just I'm doing them a favor. They don't have to deal with it me anymore because I let them down. That's how I think. Because I don't feel safe with them in my circle anymore, because I feel they don't trust me or think I'm competent enough. So I just leave them and I go to a new circle. has a difficult time making decisions. And I guess this is true. My daughter has a saying, she says, Daddy, you look like you're in a menu. And that's her way, she's 6 years old, but that's her way of saying, you look like you're really like in deep thought or confused. Because when we go to a restaurant, if I haven't looked up the menu online first, then I'm like, I totally overthink what I'm gonna get at a restaurant. And that's also actually an Enneagram 6 trait. If you're Enneagram 6, you probably run into that too, overthinking menu items. Okay, and here it is. Carries a lot of blame and guilt. Here's what I wanna say about that. Carries a lot of blame and guilt for the self-preservation 6. I would say at age 41, I don't really carry so much blame anymore. I think so much of my personal growth as a human being is that I don't blame people anymore. I used to be very judgmental when I was young, but I think I outgrew that because I started realizing, well, and as the old cliche annoying saying, you know, you point a finger at somebody, you got it at least pointing back at you, that whole cliche thing. But it is true. I became more aware of how imperfect I am, so I became less interested in wanting to find out what was wrong with other people, because ultimately, if I'm going to talk about them and their faults behind their back, they're probably doing that about me. Granted, I want to know what my faults are so that I can improve and overcome them, but ultimately, and I've also read the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, How to Start Living and Stop Worrying, you know, by Dale Carnegie. And ultimately, he teaches this concept that always assume that other people are doing the best that they can with whatever other circumstances they were given. Yeah, they may have a horrible personality, but what was their childhood like? What is the relationship with their parents like? What is the relationship with their kids? What is their physical health you may not know about? What are they going through? Maybe that's the best they can show up in the world, is to be that version of themselves. So I think I've become much better about just not even wanting to blame other people. If I'm going to blame anybody, I need to blame myself for not being more understanding, or ultimately just being better in general, because every day is an opportunity to learn something new. But man, when it comes to guilt, it's such a blind spot, and I'm coming to terms with it now. I was talking to someone just last week, and they said, Nick, what did you do? Why do you feel so guilty all the time? And I said, I don't know. I've just always felt this way. It was a couple years ago, I started realizing I don't feel like I'm a good person like most people feel about themselves. You know, if you ask them, hey, are you a good person? Oh yeah, I've never killed anybody. I'm a good person. That's always what they go to. I've never killed anyone. And they say, oh, I'm a good person. I try to help other people. I mean, but most people are that way. Are most people good? I don't know. I can't answer that question. Am I good? If you ask me that, I'm going to say no. But yet, this past weekend, I was at the store with my kids. My wife was cleaning the house. I took the kids out. We're doing some shopping, you know, and this older lady was coming toward me at the store, and she said, good job, Dad. Good job. You know, taking care of my kids, that means I'm a good person. I mean, I work hard. I'm loyal to my family and my job. I try to treat people as good as I can, but I still don't feel like I'm a good person. I still feel this guilt, and I don't exactly know why. So if you're Enneagram 6, there's a good chance you do feel this way. I would say too, if you are a religious person and you're a 6, that probably amplifies it some. You know, I mean, if you listen to the songs I've written on this channel, an overall theme, I even have a song called Survivor's Guilt, where I'm ultimately saying, how is it that I'm born into this really good life that I have, and then I'm born into understanding the Christian way of how things work, you know? But so many other people have a horrible life, and then they never know any kind of spiritual truth like that. So I have this ultimate sense of survivor's guilt, if nothing else. And I'm trying to unpack it and realize it's not that I'm done something bad, and it's not that I'm less deserving, and it's not that I've done some horrible thing. But I'm trying to overcome that guilt, and you know, I'm only a week in really understanding this is even a thing I'm going through. I have a lot of guilt, but yet I haven't done this thing wrong. I can't name one thing I've done wrong that just makes me feel so guilty. But I make this video ultimately just to explain what it's like to be an Enneagram 6 like me. Because if you're an Enneagram 6, maybe you can relate to this unnamed guilt. I'd love to hear from you. Your comments belong right here. And don't forget, if you've made it through the 10-minute mark and liked this video, will you do me a favor and actually like it? That way it helps the algorithm and gets more videos like this in your newsfeed.